What English people?
What are you doing?
Because I review phones, I go through this more than most people. But obviously, when you get a new phone, you have two choices. You can import your data, I guess, from another, like a back or whatever. I almost always just do a clean install and just manually go through it every time because I hate myself and I don't value my time. And this takes multiple days. There's different levels of things. You install apps, of course. You configure those apps, sign into those apps. If there's data associated with them that you want on the device, maybe you want, I don't do this really, but podcast, music, audiobook, something like that. Yep. Download that. But the real process of getting a new phone is the process of it annoying you. And then you look and it's like, oh, a Facebook notification. I don't need those. And then you turn that off. And then the New York Times has a Medium has like everything has a notification. And so over time you kind of go, nope, 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 nope. And then about, I don't know, 3 weeks from now, this thing will be exactly right. And I'll be able to move on to my next phone.
So I'm going to be doing something and I'll have to get your advice later once the time comes closer. So when the iPhone 12 comes out, whenever that is, I've never actually traded in a phone when buying a new one. I've never done it.
Yeah, it's a good experience.
Typically what happens is I get a new phone and then I give my old one to my wife, and then my wife's old one is like 4 years old at that point. And
yeah, but this year your wife got a phone sometime in the past,
Yes,
whatever
she
it
did.
was, 9 months or something.
so she's not going to take this one, and I'm not going to let this thing just sit around. I figure it's worth
So-
a couple $100 at best, at least.
What do you have? Yeah, you have an XS or an X?
10s.
The 10s.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll get. Well, I mean, actually, go through the process right now. See what you get today.
Well, I figured it would drop like when the 12.
Yeah,
comes
probably,
out.
but that will give you the highest end. I mean, not right now on the podcast.
No.
I mean, but I mean, you could if you wanted to. But I always do that. I did that with the Pixel 4a. I traded in my Pixel 3a. I will do that with the iPhone. I was just. I don't know if you saw the past 24 hours. There's been a lot of new leaks.
No, I haven't.
One of my concerns. I have two concerns with the iPhone that I have currently. One is that it's really thick and heavy. Like it's really dense. Every time I go back to it, it's like holding up like a plutonium or like a lead brick or something.
You have no idea what it's like to be around dense things.
So I'm just gonna let that one slide. But the other one, oh no, I'm sorry, that is the only issue. But if I upgrade or not, I mean, if they didn't upgrade the cameras at all, I probably wouldn't bother. Maybe.
Yeah.
But they are upgrading the cameras, right? So, okay. So this is something I was just thinking about. But I always keep mine. I have a case. I don't
Yeah,
throw
that's
it
how
around
mine
like
is.
a monkey in a zoo. Take care of it, And I always get the top amount you can get, and it's always worked out great. I do it. I've done it with Samsung. I've done it with Apple. I've done it with Google, both multiple times. All three multiple times. It always works good. Like this little Pixel 4a thing. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I paid $220 for it. With the trade-in.
Yeah,
It's nice.
not bad. Speaking of Pixels, so this is the scene that I edited. Pressing this button, Pixel 5 that just leaked. Yeah, it worked. So
Yeah. Oh, so that's what I was going to say. This complicates matters for me because I got to tell you, this isn't much of an upgrade. So, unfortunately, that phone that you're showing is the phone I have as far as the body goes. It's almost exactly the same. The only difference is that the camera module is bigger because there's more lenses, and there's two. And so that means it's not any better or much better than what we got last year, but it's also not available in the XL size. And I really prefer the XL size.
Yeah, the one thing I really like about this phone is that it's not a glass back.
Yes.
Well, I like the idea of a glass back. The problem is like everybody knows.
I like the idea of a glass back.
You
Dude,
put
let
it
me tell you
in a
something.
case. Like that's like it
Apple
aesthetically
did this
looks
one
nice.
year. Polycarbonate. Just do polycarbonate. It's wonderful. It feels good. It's reliable and protective. If you scratch it, you don't get like silver underneath. The color goes all the way through. That's the one thing they got right on the little Pixel, the 4a, is they went from, they had polycarbonate last year in the 3a, but it was kind of a glossy polycarbonate. This year it's more of a matte polycarbonate. It's great. And I mean, I put it in the case because, I want to protect it. This is not going to be my full-time phone months down the road. So I want to preserve the value of the trade-in or whatever. But like an iPhone, if Apple came out with polycarbonate iPhones,
Wasn't like the iPhone one of them? Isn't it like the
5C.
8 or 5C? Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah, but they made it like the cheaper. It wasn't cheap, but the less. They made it down market for some reason. Like plastic's cheap, and it's like, plastic can save you from having to use a case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Not
but
to
then
mention
Apple's not going to sell a new
good
case.
for radio antennas and signals and things. I mean, it's good.
Yeah. Problem is, then they don't sell cases and they don't sell Apple Care.
No. The answer is always, oh, I'm sorry. Did you think Apple was out there for the customer?
They didn't get to $2 trillion by being nice, Paul.
Yeah, by selling plastic shit. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Yeah, you're not going to see a polycarbonate Apple Watch, folks. Sorry, even though that would make tons of sense.
Actually, that's
with tons of sense. Something that you're bapping around on the door frame all the time, every time you walk through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking of door frames, there's been some fun bugs in the which I actually think this is perfect for Microsoft. Their flight sim. There's been some craziness. There's like the building in Boston where people are driving on the outside. Which
actually is totally accurate. People in Boston drive like assholes, so that's probably not a bug. But the other ones are bugs.
Yeah, there's a building in Melbourne. It's 212 stories tall. It's supposed to be, I think, 2. So it's because they use Open City mapping or something like that, and that data had some bugs in it or whatever, bad data when they scraped it, and here that is. But still, it makes good PR for them.
You kind of want to make fun of that, but I mean, the reality is, like, they're trying to map the world. I mean, there are going to be these things. They'll fix the obvious stuff, and I mean, I've not played it yet, but I actually just did download it though to my computer. I mean, everyone who has played this has been like, "This is unbelievable! Like, it's beautiful." Just don't fly by Buckingham Palace if you something accurate.
So I could forget what else was on this. Oh yeah, the other big news of the week that I know many people have been waiting for is that TypeScript 4.0 is out, and that's just
wow. I don't even know where to go with that. Yeah, TypeScript 4.0. It's actually not a major release. They just do like incremental releases, like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so it just so happens they hit 4.0. The last one was 3.9, but if you were to look at all of the improvements they made since 3.0, it's pretty substantial.
Yeah, I'll take your word for that. There's things I'm not qualified to talk about. TypeScript is one of them.
Made by the genius. This is the guy who made Turbo Pascal, Object Pascal, and Delphi. Helped create .NET and C#. Right. So as of today, this guy has 2 programming languages that he basically invented in the top 10.
It's not a bad track record there.
Yeah, it's not bad. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his legacy is assured.
Yeah, no kidding. And then Microsoft is also bringing the subsystem Linux 2 backwards in time to 1903 and 1909, which I think they said they weren't going to do initially, and then now they're like, we know nobody's rolling out that update, so here you go.
Yeah, I may write this up, but I'm beginning to wonder if Microsoft isn't purposefully blurring the lines between versions of Windows 10 because it kind of doesn't matter anymore. They're doing all this stuff to strip stuff out from it being specific to a version of Windows 10, right? So we already apps from day one was the case.
Yeah.
We saw that with WinUI, taking that stuff out of the UI stack. Now with Project Reunion, they're going to take even more out of that stack and make it they'll have its own version system, but it will be versionless compared to the Windows version. WSL is an interesting choice too, right? Because 80% of the people using Windows 10 right now are using 1903 or 1909. I mean, what is there really any technical reason not to break? Well, no, the answer is no. It's a rhetorical question because they are doing it. So it's interesting. It's an interesting shift.
It is.
Well, it's a continuation of a shift, I guess.
The big question becomes support, because they've talked very clearly about, like, the spring release is 18 months, and then the fall release is 30 months.
Right. So actually, I mean, maybe this is part of the story, but you saw the thing earlier this week where Internet Explorer and Legacy Edge are going to be not supported through Microsoft 365, right?
Yep.
Not completely. The life cycle of Legacy Edge is tied to the versions of Windows 10 in which it came. So actually, it just came in 2004. Assuming they don't have it in 20H2, which I assume they won't. That means Legacy Edge technically will probably be out of support sometime next year, by the end of next year, certainly.
Yeah.
But IE11 is a little squishier because IE11 has been in every version of Windows 10, and at some point, that won't be the case. But they have never formally laid out a plan for literally stopping support of that product. So that's something they'll have to figure out. But I don't know. Maybe I feel like this is all part of a bigger. I don't want to call it a shift, but like just a new way of doing. Yeah, a new way of thinking of versioning, and so then the support that goes with it.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. It's kind of Panos. Well, I wonder who defines the support lifecycle. I wonder if that's Panos now.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would say
I would think it would be.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like who came up with this? This was one of the big confusions. I mean, back when Terry Myerson announced Windows as a service, I want to say it was January 2015, probably
something like that. Yeah.
There was a big question at that time about, well, I mean, how's this going to work? Because Windows used to be 10 years of support, and it was mainstream for 5 and extended support for 5, and they've kind of played with it since then. I don't know. Maybe this is part of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, because to your point, the versions are the reasons to upgrade to different versions is contracting, like the actual updates. And then they're now porting features across, which clearly it's not like WSL2 was tied to it. It was just arbitrarily tied. And so.
Plus, Windows 7 finally exited support. That was a big one. And it was the last big one. No one cares about Windows 8. So, I know there's a few outliers out there who's still using it or whatever. And that will expire on that normal 10-year life cycle, whenever that date is. But, once we get that behind us, we're in a whole new world. I mean, it's just it's a different thing. It's ill-defined.
It is ill-defined, as Paul Thurrott says.
Much like my hair or my. Anyway.
Anyways, I don't know. That's kind of the mutton that's been floating around, I guess, for the past 24 hours, give or take, something like that. You got any plans for the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, nothing worth discussing, but yeah, I mean, we're doing some stuff. I don't know. We're trying to, return to a sense of normalcy as much as we can, with the understanding that it's never going to be normal, and it's probably going to backtrack too. But
yeah,
I don't know. We're not going anywhere, I guess. But what about you guys?
Nothing. It's just going to involve drinking alcohol at the end of my driveway while the kids play in the street like hoodlums. And,
Nice.
I don't know. It's what we've been doing every, 3-4 days a week for 5 months now.
Yeah.
Just
I used to joke with my daughter about endless summer, and now it really
I think we've all made that joke. And
now it's like it's not funny anymore.
It's like this is great, and then it never ends.
And then it wasn't. Yep.